Hi everyone, this is Julie from Patchworks, and I am in my sewing room and I am going to be sewing the large log cabin from the butterfly quilt. So if you've been joining along on our Tuesday series, you know that Tuesdays were a little bit casual and I'm actually sewing in my basement, and we're making this butterfly quilt project. We're going to be talking about some tips and tricks of that process, but also it's going to just be a time to spend some time together. You can ask me some questions, and I'll do my best to answer as we go along. We're going to start our large log cabin today by talking about the fabrics that we're going to be using. I did some pre-cutting today, just so that you didn't have to watch me cut all of the strips to make a log cabin. And then we'll just get to some sewing. After we're done with this block, we are going to come back and talk about how we could fussy cut. We had kind of talked about doing that last week, and I thought it'd be helpful to have some template plastic to talk about that. So that's going to be our PhD level after we get our log cabin block together. So if you're watching, make sure to say hi and let me know if you have any questions along the way. I see Linda said hi, so thanks so much. And as a recap here, we have made the first 3 blocks already. So this is the intersection block. Block 2 is the chunky cross. And then the third block is the floating cross. So now I'm going to hop on over to our overhead where we can look at our fabrics. Hi, Ginny. Thanks for joining us tonight. All right. So I'm hopping on over here. Hi, Elizabeth. So in the butterfly quilt here, we are going to be working on the large log cabin, and the large log cabin is here and here. So we only have 2 blocks today to have to worry about. So that's super awesome. It seems like we have a little bit of a lag on the overhead, so a good thing that my mouth isn't moving while we're doing that, but hopefully you get the gist of things. We have 8 different layers, but 6 different fabrics, okay? I'm just gonna quick make that caption go away so that we don't have to worry about that. Oh, Renee, hi. I saw your blocks that you posted in the Patchwork Party group. So congratulations for your progress on that. Everyone make sure to post your progress along the way. So for our blocks today, we are going to be using the 6 different fabrics, and it can be kind of hard to tell what fabrics to use when you get a picture just like this, right? You get that picture and it can be kind of hard. So we're going to flip back to this page here, and this is the block that we're making. And I have gone ahead and stepped out which ones that we need. So we're going to be using the begonia dot here. Oh, it seems like we have a lot of leg. So we have the pom-pom here, and I did fussy cut it. Now, if we can also want to look at what it might look like if we use the tiny dot, I cut that as well. We then have the Snapdragon Essential Solid, the Snapdragon Tula Basic, Carnelian Solid, Agate Mineral, Stargazer Solid, Agate Mineral, and then coming back to the Carnelian. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you had wanted to, you could go ahead and swap out some of the fabrics, because it is your own quilt. So I know one of the Lindas who's making this is choosing her own adventure along the way and pairing different fabrics along with it. So you can absolutely go ahead and do that. Now, I just want to show you here how cool is this that we're able to capture the single dot. So I think that's really, really cool and able to center that pretty easily. It is probably done specifically so that we could do that. And if we look at the cover of the pattern, and it is right here, you can imagine that that was a fussy cut dot right there. Okay, so I like the larger dot too, Linda, and that's what we're going to do. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to swap it on over and move over to our sewing table so that we can be able to see this a little bit better. I hesitate. I was going to put the camera on the machine, but if it's such a lag, I don't know what good it's going to do, but let's try it anyhow. Oops. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, well, now we've probably lost all control. Oh no. All right, well, we won't do that. And I will go back and take that off of there. All right. Here we go. So what we're going to do is that we are going to sew the log cabin. And with sewing the log cabin, a lot of people think that a log cabin is a super simple block. And it is, but it does require some precision along the way because you have that L shape and you need to make sure everything lines up just right. Okay. So that's where our handy dandy seam test comes into play. And I know you're like, Julie, I don't like to do the seam test. You know what? Doing the seam test, especially if you've been away from your machine for a while or if you're switching machines, always, always, always a really good thing. All right. So enough about that. Now, let me. Ooh, I didn't grab them close to me. This is where one of those little transfer boards would be really handy. So we are going to sew, since this is an L, what we have to do is sew in one way and then the next way. So I am going to sew both at the same time. I had in last week only sewn one at a time just so we could get through the unit. But because we only have 2 blocks today, isn't that exciting? We can just go ahead and sew them both at the same time. So when we get started with our log cabins, we're always sewing 2 units together that are the exact same size. And I want to make sure that I have my leader, right? So I'm putting my starter piece of fabric through. And then we're going to just start sewing. So anybody have any really exciting things that they've been working on? Did you hear? This is super exciting. On Saturday, we are playing with the Elm Grove Business Association, and we are going to be playing along and doing what's called, what are we doing? We are going to do Walk the Plank, which is a trick or treat event for everyone. It's going to be a block party. There's going to be face painting. There's going to be music. There's going to be drinks. And Patrick's is going to be one of the businesses handing out candy. So we're going to have a table set up on Watertown Plank Road between 4 and 6 that you and your wee ones or just you can come and check things out. I've had a few people ask if we were going to be if they'd be able to trick or treat for fabric. And this is going to be a a after hours event. It's from 4 to 6. And so it really is just going to be an on the street event for this year. Okay, so what we're going to do is talk about, so this is symmetrical, and I'm just looking here to see, because we have one this way and one this way, right? So the question is, do we need to build them mirrors, or do we just build them the same and then turn them? Well, you know what? I think we should just build them as mirrors. Don't you think so? I think so. So what we're going to do is, yep, that way and that way. Okay, so we're going to build them as mirrors. Now, what I did when you weren't looking is that I kind of cheated and I just finger pressed these, okay? Because I starched my fabric beforehand, so I'm not going to hop up to the ironing board every single step. We'll try it this time, see how it works. I'm going to lay on my next log here. Okay, so it's going to be on the bottom. So we're going to fold it up and do the same thing there. So if it gets too confusing building the mirror, you can always just do one at a time. I don't want to get anybody crazy. And then what I've done is that I'm just taking that same piece of fabric as my feeder and putting it through. All right, so let's see here. This is super, super cute. You can see that, how I have my little floating dot. I'm excited about that. All right. All right, I finger pressed again, and now I'm going to go for the next round. So I'm going to attach this little guy and side and side. So I'm sitting with them and I'm positioning them right in front of me and looking at it purposefully before I go to the sewing machine. Now with the little logs, always make sure that your ends line up. If they don't, you need to evaluate, because the way that this is cut is not to trim off your edges. If you start trimming off your edges after you've cut these pieces to size, your block isn't going to end up the right size, and then you're going to be sad. So I don't want you to be sad. So I'm getting ready to go to Quilt Market. I'm super excited. I'll be going next week. So I'm going to have to see closer to the date if I'm going to be able to sew with you next week or not, because I'm leaving on Thursday. We'll be having our big video on Wednesday. Or is it next week? I don't even know. Yes, it's next week. Yeah, I think so. Anyhow, um, I'm so goofy. I get all my weeks mixed up here. That I just want to make sure that I can be all the places. Let me just look at the calendar. I'm all confused because I think it actually is 2 weeks away. Nope, it's next week. All right, so it's next week. So good thing I know these things. I do have my flight booked. I'll be going and I'll see all the new exciting things. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with my free spirit rep, and I'll be hearing all about all the exciting things. And I know we've heard and seen a lot of really exciting things about some future Tula stuff and future cave stuff and our other favorite free spirit designers. So I'll have all of the scoop on that. Super, super, super exciting. Yeah, that next one that's coming out in June of next year. English paper piecing. What do you think? So I've started some English paper piecing things and I've made some small projects. I haven't made a giant quilt. I've made a whole bunch of compound units. I've just never made a whole big quilt about it. So is that exciting to you? We will be ordering them for those who are interested. I just didn't know how exciting it was for our general Patchworks customer. Has anybody seen any of it? Is stitching slow a cool thing? Not a cool thing? Look at this. Round 3 is finished. Let's go one more round and then I'm going to press it. How does that sound? All right. And then what we'll do is, as we get to the longer rounds, I will pin. I know that I don't always pin on the short rounds, but on the big rounds, I do like to pin. I'm not that adventuresome. All right. But going back to our trick-or-treating on Saturday, I'm so happy that the weather's going to heat back up because after it started snowing, oh my goodness, I was thinking to myself, what did I sign up for on the 22nd with the village? What did I sign up for? So I'm trying to figure out what I should be. Should I have a resurgence of my sock monkey costume? Should I be a witch? Should I be something else? I don't know. I don't know. Do not know. All right. Dun, 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 dun. I just love how these blocks are just bite-sized blocks. And remember, I had said that when we're working on these, I really just want these to be achievable points that we're working on because, we have lots of stuff going on and you might be working on more than one quilt. And I want to make sure that you don't feel overwhelmed and leave the project behind. So that's why we're having just little itty bitty chunks. If you feel like you want to work ahead, by all means, please do so. To date, I have not found from Tula any pattern corrections on this particular project. So if you have any concerns, please let me know on those. I've double checked. There was potentially an issue in one of the upcoming ones, and it doesn't seem that there is. But we always want to make sure that if we have any potential for there being a challenge, that we want to bring it up and research it so that we all don't miscut our fabric. Because that's sad. All right. Dun, dun, dun. I'm going to have a quick press so that we can make sure that we're all on track, but everything's lining up great. Lorelei would be good. Lorelei. Are you Linda, you have commented that Lorelei would be good. What do you mean Lorelei? Are you talking about the fabric company with the character ladies? Can let us know. So I'm just quick off screen pressing. And oh, so Linda's talking about the Lorelei Fabric Design Company. So they have those caricature ladies. Well, I'll be there, so I'll be able to check out all sorts of really fun stuff. Okay. Do these look like mirrors? I think they do. Yay. No promises, Linda. We just never know. But I'm super excited to just try out also and check out all sorts of stuff. This is going to be so exciting. I'm like exchanging texts and emails with some of my shop owner friends that I haven't seen for years. And we're all just so really excited to be able to be together and collaborate and share some good times, see some good things, share some hugs. It's going to be fun. Get inspired, share stories, to try to figure out, some of the interesting changes in business that have come up over the past couple years and be able to just share successes of how we have worked with different things and ideas for how to improve and all sorts of fun stuff. Hi, Fran. Thanks for joining us today. We are working on the large log cabin. I had done some pre-cutting today so that I'd have time at the end of this segment to talk about some of the fussy cutting. I thought that that would be really important. So also one of the things that if you're just tuning in between rounds, I am finger pressing and I'm having success finger pressing because I've pre-starched my fabric. Now, when you are pre-starching, especially your solids, something that I just want to make sure you're not alarmed with, if you've never run into it before, is that sometimes you can you see spotting while your starch is still wet on those darker solids. Now that typically goes away. Um, it is good though to check beforehand. And I think it has something to do with REAT, REAT, that some of the red colors have REAT in them, I believe. I could be misspeaking, but I thought that's what my textile education taught me. So if anyone has any different information, please chime in. Oh, you wish you could see me sewing. Okay, Ginny, let me see here if I can reposition this a little bit. How does that sound? Okay, let me see here because I was gonna sew. Let's see here. Let us see here. I'm just fussying something here. Here we go. I had unscrewed something, Ginny, when I was setting everything up, which then kind of got us a little wobbly. Okay, so let's see here now if this will be a little better. Our timing might be a little off, but we'll see. And thank you, Ginny, for chiming in there. Okay, so maybe we make this bigger and I go smaller. How does this look? All right, so if the timing is off, that's all right. Let's see if I can be all professional and not cover. How is this, Ginny? Is this better? I was talking to Frank as I was setting everything up, and we were talking about how being able to have these nice Tuesdays with you, we're able to check out some different things and play with some stuff that we wouldn't otherwise play with on a Thursday. So, okay, so I'm still not pinning, okay, with it being short. I probably should start pinning on the next round, right? Uh, I don't know. We also got to figure out how to have that camera not time out. I don't know if it's the connection that we have here at the house, if our speed just isn't good enough, or what the deal is. All right. So we have this round and that round. Okay. Now we're going to move and get the stargazer. Ooh, now the really cool thing about these solids is I really don't treat that there's a right or wrong side to my solids. So I have my stargazer. And with the pinks and such, if you are working with, uh-oh, row. So, okay, here we go. I have been correct all the way around with my, let's just go big here, all the way around with my logs, okay? I went to attach this log, and this is the one that I cut right before we went live. I don't know if you can see it, but I am a 1/4 inch off, okay? That's not good. So what we need to do is we needed to evaluate what happened. And so I'm going to proof my block and I'm just going to measure and make sure it is what I think it should be, and it is. So I now need to recut my logs, okay? Just going to check this log here. My second log, just fine. It's just my first log. All right. So, that's pretty good, right? So good thing I have more fabric. All right. I'm going to grab my fabric and I am going to, let's see here. I'm just going to cut right here. And let me see here. This is a 3-inch chunk. So I'm going to cut the length that I need. And then divide it for my width. Okay. Let's see here if I can get this back where it needs to be. Is it zoomed in enough? There we go. All right. All right, now let's see. Does it line up? It lines up. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. So always, anytime that there is any inconsistency, check before you just proceed, okay? All right, so this is log 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Logs round 6. So happy it was simply a cutting error rather than a stitching error, because if there had been a stitching error, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Then what? Then you'd need to send me back to school, right? Send me back to school. So I can't hear me. Is my voice choppy? I can see that I can see that, this screen here, my sewing screen is choppy, but is my voice choppy at all? All right, so the one round. Now I'm going to press it open and then attach my outside L. I'm getting to that length where I need to pin. Wah, wah, wah. Been getting in so much amazing new fabric. It's going to be a good show on Thursday where we're talking about new arrivals. Oh, thank you, Sandy and Ginny, for the. Thank you, everybody, for letting me know. Beth, Linda, see, that's just my crazy plan to make sure that people comment. No, thank you so much, because I don't listen along with you, because with the time lapse, it would be a little crazy. So I don't do it where I have the headphones on. I know there's some people that go live that wear the headphones and can hear it, and I would only do that if I had a guest on. All right. So, two more rounds. Two more rounds. This is going to be a like world record here. Okay. So, I'm going to go quick press this out, and then I am going to grab a couple pins. Wah, wah, wah. So, what other exciting things are happening? Oh, Sandy, you love the fabrics. The fabrics are awesome, aren't they? And yeah, just lots of really great fabrics. Oh, did anyone chime in and say what I should be for Halloween? Does anybody want to see the sock monkey again? Sock monkey costume. Julia's a giant sock monkey. Maybe you guys haven't even seen that. Oh my goodness. So if you look back in the archives, I think even on our YouTube channel, we have me dancing as a sock monkey. I know, it's pretty crazy. All right. So, I was getting pins, wasn't I? Yes, I was getting pins. All right. So now it is the next round of the agate. And I should have my other pin cushion home where I have my finer pins, but these work. So when I'm pinning, I oftentimes pin perpendicular and then would just do on something of this size, just something towards each of the ends. Okay. As it gets bigger, I then pin, about that hand distance apart. But I like to pin when I'm putting my quilting cottons together, I put them perpendicular to where I'm going to be sewing. That's just how I like to do it. And then we'll put on the other one right away too. Now, I also do not sew over my pins whenever possible. I pause and take them out. Um, I used to sew over my pins without a band. And what I had found out is that if you hit a pin just right, you can bend your, I should know what it is, but the main bar, the needle bar. So it's the big piece of steel that makes everything work right. So yeah, that's no good and really expensive and really annoying. And then your machine is out of commission. And especially, these days, who knows how long it would take to come back, right? So should probably get a slightly different angle so you can see here, but I'm coming up here. So right there, gonna take it out. All right. And as I'm feeding it in, I don't use a knee lift or raise my presser foot. I just feed it in. Do you see that? I just feed it in. I find that chain stitching like this works really nice. I don't have those nests of thread at the beginning. And because we are just adding rounds and rounds and rounds on this, we're not having to worry about separation. All right. And my poor little piece of fabric here that keeps on going through like a trooper. Okay. We're going to put our next round of agate on. After I finger press these, I could also bring a little ironing board right here. I think I told you in a different episode that I prefer to always stand up in between. Well, number one, in these particular type, I'd have to put it over here. Maybe I have to think about this just even for the videos here to be a little bit more time efficient. But for you at home, what I do encourage is to get up and stretch and move those legs as often as possible. I know it's easier to just sit and not and just rotate back and forth, but it's really important to move about, keep those legs moving so that we can stay nice and mobile. And then also, I personally find that I have less aches and pains after sewing if I've been moving. If I sit and power sew and don't move, I end up with just really tight shoulders, hunched over neck, and then my leg, and hips hurt more. And so, I want you to move around. You didn't know you'd be getting a fitness class as well, right? You're like, Julie, I just want this. I just want my ironing board right next to me. I'll let you. All right, here we go. We have second part of round 7 on. Once again, we'll figure out how to get our second camera not be so laggy. Just need all the cameras, all the things. I think that one week it worked really good. Have to figure out what I did. Oh, and then last Thursday, oh, that was crazy. So the thing that we're streaming from right now um, wouldn't let us go live last week Thursday, and Tammy and I were sitting there, and Tammy was on the chat with them for technical support while I was live with all of you, and they said, "Oh, we're sorry, our servers are down. We don't know why, and we don't know when they'll be back up, but we'll send you an email." So then around midnight last Thursday, I got an email saying, "Oh, so sorry. Everything's working now. Happy streaming. Have a great time." And I was laughing. I'm like, "Oh, we can't stream right now. It's too late. Everybody's in bed." Well, maybe you weren't in bed, but I was going to bed. Look at this. It's so pretty. Okay. And I'm also excited that this is like just a super fun, super easy block. All right. So, and my log lines up. So that's awesome. I need to pin it. Don't I need to pin it? Yeah, I need to pin it. All right. Pin, pin. Do I even need to pin in the middle? Maybe add another pin. I guess. All right, and when I pin that last one, I kind of pull it, assuming that my edges line up to where they should. I then pull it taut to make sure that I align my piece of fabric. I'm sure you all do that. I just, since we're talking, I thought I would just share that with you. Okay. Right. Almost there. Almost there. Okay. So have that there, and here we go. So does anyone else have any other questions while we are hanging out here? We are making more butterfly kits. And I think I mentioned last week, we've had a request for a butterfly quilt without background and border. And so we are in the process of putting that together. Um, I think we're short on a fabric or two. So I'll have to check and see if you are waiting on that um, in order to get started where we are so that you can get started on your project because, well, we don't want you to fall behind, but there is no behind in sewing. It's just where in the realm we just want you to get started on the project, even if there is no behind per se. All right. So with this second camera here that we have going on, I don't know that I'm going to be able to do the fussy cutting demo that I had wanted to do because I don't think, let's see, I'll reposition the other camera because I'm not happy with how that would look for you guys. Should be more real time, right? I think so. Okay, so final round. I'm lining it up. I cut right. I sewed a nice 1/4 inch, which is fabulous. I love it when a plan comes together. I'm telling you that starch works wonders. And oh, Beth wants to know where to post pictures of your finished blocks. And I encourage you to join our Facebook group called Patchworks Party. And Beth, are you watching from Facebook or are you um, doing a are you from YouTube? And so let's see, I can probably type in perfect Facebook. So we have our Facebook party, and if we say or Patchworks Party. So it's Facebook group Patchworks Party. Works Party. All right. So, and afterwards, I can probably put an actual link on here that puts you right to the group since I don't have access to that exact link right now. Oh, look, it's behaving now. That's pretty cool. And one more seam. This is super exciting. Coming to the end. I'll give it a quick press. And then we can look at the finished product. So how many are choosing your own fabric combinations so that you're choosing your own adventure in this? It's going to be really interesting to see all the different variations that come up, you know, from people who started with the kits and are adding some favorite fabrics. I have to share a picture in Facebook Party from one of our one of our customers who had made a block of the month from several years ago called Getting to Know You. And she used all Tula fabrics, including some really amazing stash pieces from older lines that she fussy cut for some of the blocks. And oh my goodness, it's amazing. So, really fun to see how everything all goes together. All right, one more side to press here. And then we can look at the pretty block. You know, it's one of those things as I'm looking at it in the mirror reflection from the camera, it looks so much more amazing than it up close when I'm working on it. So I'm going to go like this here. Okay, so I have this and this. Aren't those cool? So you can see here some subtle color changes that I think are just really cool. And so this fabric and this fabric repeat. And then we have that really nice fussy cut, fussy pieced dot. And it will appear centered after we piece it in to the other unit. So you don't have to worry about it being offset like that. Yay! Super fun. So, and in case if you were making them the exact same, you can see if you rotate it 90 degrees, it is the same. I just went like this so that I ended up with my, by having the mirrors, the subtle, subtle difference is the positioning of where my seam is so that my seams are mirror positions rather than having them rotate. But, after the quilt is together and after everything's quilted, no one is going to be the wiser. So it really doesn't matter. I just was being ultra persnickety about having those particular ones set up that way. So should we take a peek and look at how we might fussy cut something to be able to wallpaper piece? How does that sound? So if anybody had wanted to, we can hop on to a little bit more of a higher level discussion about playing with some fussy cutting and using template plastic and being able to kind of meld the art and craft and science of that wallpapering, especially with the 1/4 inch seam. All right, so let's just take a moment and reposition the camera. And it looks like this camera here is behaving. So we are going to reposition that second camera for that, and then we'll see how it goes. Okay, so let's hop on over here. Da, 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 da. Okay, and let me make sure here that we're not too zoomed in. Back camera. We don't want to zoom in that much. Here we go. Here we go. Got to make sure I don't make you dizzy, right? All right, so now let's swap these guys out here. All right, so we are going to work with this pretty lady here, right? And I have bits and pieces of fabric. I think I didn't actually check that I had enough from other places, but I think I do to be able to demonstrate this whole piece. So what we are going to talk about is that the block, the base block that we are working with is this big, okay? I didn't press it, so that's why it's so creased. All right, so if I take my template plastic and the template plastic, we saw it at the store here. You don't have to use anything fancy. This is just the Easy Quilting. It comes 12 by 18, so you can play with it a lot, and it's a nice inexpensive price. So we are going to work on this. Oh, wait, so that we have a quick question here before. If front and back of quilt are flannel, do you need to use batting? So yes, I always still use batting. So it helps the quilt lay nice or be quilted. If you are going to tie it or something like that, you potentially don't have to. But when you are quilting something on a long arm, you absolutely want to have it. You absolutely want batting. Okay, so now I'm just going to quick cut out a template plastic, and I'm using an alternate rotary cutter that I used for craft purposes. So for like cutting paper or template plastic. Okay, so it's always good to have another one. And, if you have an old one, you can do that. And so I'm just going to finish cutting this square here. Oh, and Fran wants to know, so for a little child, um, so anything that's being long-armed, check with your long armor. But I believe anything that you are long arming, when I was long arming, I wanted batting on everything. Even if you were going to use a layer of flannel, but flannel would actually be heavier than if you would just use a lightweight cotton or blend. Okay, so this is the size that we are going to start with, and we're just going to, there's a couple different components that we're talking about, but when we are making our own templates, let's just imagine here what this would look like. And if you had a special, like there's a lot of rulers, in this case, a 6.5-inch ruler, there'd be really nice fussy cutting tools that would be easy to work with. But a lot of times that we're working with stuff, it's more of a custom size. So that's why I want to mention about making your own templates here for that. In a perfect world, I'd have a pencil. So I'm first going to just line up and do an X in the center for, okay, X marks the spot, right? So, and once again, for 6.5, it would be really easy to just buy a tool for this first part, okay? All right, so X marks the spot for, and you probably can't see that. Can you see it now? X, not really. Okay, so kind of. No, still no. So I want to share with you that we are going to mark where we are going to be having to look for this for our center spot. So if I position my X here, okay, so the thought with a paper, with doing a wallpaper, is that we need to stitch things back together so that it looks like there's no seam, right? That's what we have to do. So what we want to do is that we are going to position, we can actually draw on some elements of where we want to line things up, which is where a template plastic can be really, really helpful. Okay, so I'm just rough drawing her face so that we can line it up when we're lining things up. And then I'm going to do her crown. Okay, just so I have some reference points. And then a ruffled collar here. Okay, here. Just so that I'm able to line stuff up when I'm working with my second piece, okay? So there we go. You can see that, okay? So you can see how it kind of looks like a lion now. Rawr. Okay, so we need a piece here for this particular quilt. We are going to need the centerpiece, which is 2.5 by 4.5. Okay, so I'm going to cut another piece here, a 2.5 by 4.5. Ooh, and this is a little challenging to see. So Putting a piece of white paper underneath could be super helpful. Once again, using my craft cutter here. Oops, craft cutter. Don't cut your fingers off, that'd be bad. Okay, 2.5 by 4.5. All right, so now this isn't necessarily for cutting per se, but this is, so we have this how we want it centered on the whole block, right? Now we are going to, I cut this ahead of time, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to reference how on here, my 2.5 by 4.5 is cut, right? So I'm just drawing her back in here so that when I'm going for my other pieces, I can realign. Because what's important here, as I line this up here now, okay, so the thing about it is that I need to make sure the next piece that I cut is, this is going to be the seam allowance, right? So let's put a little seam allowance in there. And once again, you're not doing this all the time, right? We're not doing this all the time. So you might say, Julie, this is absolutely insane. But what we can do here is that if we line this up here, then we know by lining this guy here, okay, that this is where we're cutting for that side. So if we have this, and then we know that her, where'd she go? Okay, so we want it to be right in here, right? That's where we wanted it to be. What's my size of my piece? The size of my piece that I need is 2.5, right? Just quick reading. Make sure you read beforehand, right? So I need my 2.5. I'm gonna have it on here. And then if we take our 1/4 inch here, right? 1/4 inch. So once again, we can imagine. So this is our seam line, right? Can you see what my seam line? Then when I come back here, my seam line, I need to move in a 1/4 inch from here for my cut line, right? Whew. All right, so if this is my main piece, I'm going to be cutting one piece out of here and my second piece out of here, okay? Here we need to figure out where her middle is. I found her middle, okay? So if it is 2.5, if it's 2.5, then that means that I need 1.25 inches and 1.25 inches, right? All right. So I lined up on the center there, and I drew that line. I made sure that the 2.5 lines up with the 1.25 inches. Going right here. Okay. Gonna bring it back over here. Line this guy up. And line up, line up. Here. Okay. So, oops. Did this get separated here? Is this 2.5 inches apart? Is 2.5, 2.5. So guess what we're going to do right now? We're going to cut off our 2.5 inches. Okay. Cut it off. Are you scared? Are you scared? All right. One side off. And to make sure that we're really doing it right, we can line up here. I apologize if my hair gets underneath the way. Okay. Could always put a piece of white paper underneath. I just don't necessarily want to cut that white piece of paper. So we're 2.5, 2.5. And the skid factor on this is a thing because it's acrylic on acrylic on acrylic. So we should use our Invisigrip. So our Invisigrip is our cling that I put on the back side of the rulers. So that gives us a little bit more grip as we're working on this. Okay, yay. All right, so then these are the cut lines, right? And let's see here where our, just so we can still see how this lands. Okay, so we'll be cutting here and here to go on the guy there, on the guy. Goodness, on our queen, on our queen. So, and how did we do that? We figured out that we need to have the overlay here so that we seam it right there. So because I can, I'm actually going to place this on top and cut all the way across. Now, are there a little bit more fabric efficient ways? Sure, you could mark some stuff. Just laying it on top. Okay. It's 2.5, and then we'll magically show you how you're going to get your side pieces. Okay. So you can see here, 2.5. All right. Here we go. Having a little bit of glue dot or something could be really helpful. All right, so I want it to be 1.5 inches from that point. I'm going to use with my acrylic cutter. This is a crazy cutter here. I don't recommend it. because it's pretty easy to jump, and I don't want any of you to hurt yourselves, so I should get another extra cutter. It's just the one I happen to have around. Okay, so those extra pieces there. All right, so let's put this on. Uh-oh. So she here, this side isn't big enough. Okay, so I don't have my 1.5 inches there. That's not good. So I'll have to find a second piece of fabric. But she is big enough here. So I'm going to put my cutter down, line it up. I can feel the edge there. If your eyes are fooling you, you can always feel it. Cut there. And we're going to cut our 1.5 inches in like we would normally cut something. There we go. See how she lines up there? That's going to line up really nice there. And then let's see what other pieces of a queen do I have. Ruh-roh, ruh-roh. Let's see here. So I'm going to need here. So I need to see her face still. We're going to need, aha, here we go. See, and this is where it's really cool that you can use, if you have these motifs where you don't have the whole motif, this is where you can still have very useful purposes. Okay, so this is not enough. Maybe I'm just going to show you how it is not enough to have all these different ones here. So that would be how you would do it. I should have probably actually made sure I had enough fabric to show you. So this is pretty close. We could still look at it for how it would work with it, but it's just not long enough. I thought I had it. Well, she's super pretty. She is super pretty. See, and she's not big enough either. But oftentimes you can put these guys together in order to do that. So, uh-oh, what did I do with my other part? My other part was right here. Okay, so let us pretend that we were all good, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on my extra pieces just so we can look at this seam. How does that sound? Okay. Ha, Nancy, we don't want blood on the fabric. No, we don't want blood on the fabric. That would be bad. Okay, so I am just, for purpose of this discussion, going to piece on this color fabric. Sound good? All right, I like it. So I'm going to do, let's see here. I am going to, nope. So if Nancy was typing that, I don't want you all screaming at home saying, "Oh, Julie, don't cut your finger off." That'd be bad. We don't want a trip to the emergency room. That's too expensive. Nobody's got time for that. Could be like a new adventure. We could make a video. That'd be no fun. Okay, so I'm gonna go here. All right, so that's right here. Go here and here, and then I need some squares, right? I need some squares. I need to figure out how big my squares are going to be. but it's going to be really cool to see how that one side comes together. And then I'll just have to get more fabric so that we can do another one. Oh, we skipped the stripes. We'll do stripes next week. Okay. Or maybe that should just be your homework. I'm the good teacher. I don't give homework, right? I was going through a whole bunch of old boxes that were in storage. Oh, it was so crazy. Looking at, I don't know why. I had projects from my elementary school. Isn't that crazy? So no longer though. All right. Maybe I can cut. Get oversized everything here. All right. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to quick go back to the sewing machine. Don't go dizzy. Going to start with that piece there, and I'm going to sew top and bottom on. This is going right there. Can't see it right there. So I need to sew this piece on it. Okay, go right there. Now I'm going to sew my base piece on here. I should get a GoPro on my head. All right, and then I'm going to do a square on top and bottom. Again, I gave it just a really nice little finger press. And we're going to go on the other side of that. All right, so now this is where we're going to see the magic happen, okay? If we did this right. Okay, so we have this and we have this. Okay, I'm going to give it a quick press and then I'm going to show you how I'm putting it together so that hopefully we'll have a half of a head. Doesn't that sound good? Sounds good. I'm probably making it look way more difficult than what it actually is. It's just one of those things that tracing it helps you make it a lot easier. Okay, so that's kind of the theory of wallpapering. So tracing it to be able to use it can be helpful. Okay, so let's see here. All right, so do you see how that looks weird? We're going to put our right sides together, and if I did this right, it's gonna line up, okay? What do you think? Oh, but it was the other side. So it's this side here. If I did it right, it's gonna line up. Cross your fingers, hold your thumbs. Here we go. Well, I'm holding my breath, guys. I am holding my breath. This is called a live sewing show. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Should I peek first? I think I'm going to peek first. Oh, I'm excited. This is pretty good. Okay, it's pretty good. So, I love it when a plan comes together. Here we go. So, she looks pretty good. And so you would repeat with the other side. But that's how you can get everything to be really nice and aligned. And yeah, so that's how it works. All right. So I was so excited to get to the log cabin that we skipped our stripes, which is fine. We're not going to work on the stripes right now. So what we're going to do is I want you to make sure that you have mastered that large log cabin. If you wanted to get on the stripes, you absolutely can. And then our next time, because really I was super excited about being together next week, but the reality is that I probably won't be able to since we're doing a Wednesday main video. And so then when I come back from market, we will have a video and we'll do the stripes and mini log cabins together. So until then, I wish you a very happy quilting and look forward to seeing you on Thursday. Any questions along the way before we all of a sudden, as I'm saying goodbye, I didn't even ask any other questions? Make sure to hop into our Facebook party and participate in the chat along the way. Happy quilting. See you soon. Thanks for helping me figure out some technical stuff and playing with me along the way with my crazy fussy cutting.